In the sun-drenched coastal town of Bermagui, New South Wales, where the Pacific Ocean crashes against rugged cliffs and fishing boats bob like corks in the harbor, lives Steve Myers, a man who once wielded the gavel but now casts nets. Steve, portrayed with irreverent charm by Scottish comedian Billy Connolly, was a hotshot lawyer in Sydney until the system's corruption soured him. Disillusioned, he traded suits for salt spray, buying a modest trawler named the Tarpon with a loan guaranteed by his ex-wife Jules. Life is simple. Mornings hauling in snapper and tuna. Afternoons with his teenage daughter Rebecca and grown son David. Evenings nursing a beer under the stars. But fate, or perhaps something divine, has other plans. One stormy afternoon, as thunder rumbles like a disapproving deity, lightning spears from the sky and strikes the Tarpon. The boat erupts in flames, a spectacular pyre that sinks to the depths, taking Steve's livelihood with it. Shaken but pragmatic, he files an insurance claim with Apex Insurance, expecting a payout to rebuild. Days later, the denial letter arrives. Act of God. The company washed their hands of it, no liability for divine interventions. Steve stares at the words, fury bubbling like the sea in a squall. If it's an act of God, he mutters, then God should pay. What starts as a quip ignites a crusade. Drawing on his legal chops, Steve drafts a lawsuit against God himself, naming representatives from major religions, Catholic bishops, Anglican archbishops, Jewish rabbis, Muslim imams, and more as defendants, since they're God's earthly proxies. He serves papers at churches, synagogues, and mosques, turning heads and raising eyebrows. The media catches wind, and soon Steve's a sensation. The man who sued God blares headlines. Enter Anna Redmond, a sharp-tongued journalist played by Judy Davis, whose own grudge against insurers stems from a denied claim after her husband's death. Anna sees gold in Steve's story, a David versus Goliath tale with heavenly stakes. She profiles him in the Sydney Herald, amplifying his voice and turning public opinion. As the case hurtles toward court, chaos ensues. Religious leaders huddle in panic. If they admit God caused the lightning, they owe damages. If they deny it, they're admitting God doesn't exist or isn't omnipotent, a theological minefield. Insurance companies, terrified of precedent, dispatch slick lawyers like Edward Pigott to squash the suit. Protests erupt outside Steve's home. Pious picketers brand him a blasphemer, while supporters cheer his chutzpah. Steve's family feels the strain. Jules frets over the loan debt. Rebecca navigates school taunts, and David worries his dad's lost his mind. Yet Steve presses on, enlisting a ragtag army of act of God victims. Farmers ruined by floods, homeowners crushed by hail, who join as class action plaintiffs. The courtroom becomes a circus. Judge Marshall, a no-nonsense jurist, reluctantly allows the case, intrigued by its absurdity. Steve, representing himself, cross-examines clerics with razor wit. If God is all-powerful, why the fine print? The defendants squirm, their lawyers objecting furiously. Anna's articles fuel the fire, exposing insurance loopholes and rallying the public. Romantic sparks fly between Steve and Anna amid late-night strategy sessions, her cynicism melting against his optimism. But pressure mounts, the church offers settlements. Insurers threaten bankruptcy if they lose, and Steve's health falters from stress. In a pivotal twist, Steve uncovers a bombshell. Meteorological reports show the lightning wasn't a random, but exacerbated by climate patterns ignored by insurers. He argues act of God is a scam, a way to dodge payouts for foreseeable disasters. The trial peaks in a stormy showdown, mirroring the boat's demise. Facing a drawn-out appeal, and seeing the toll on his loved ones, Steve withdraws the suit. But not before extracting a concession. The judge rules that insurers must rename the clause to something honest, like unforeseeable natural disaster. Steve declares victory, not in dollars, but in exposing the system's hypocrisy. The churches, relieved, donate to rebuild his boat. Anna and Steve sail into a tentative future together. The film closes on a triumphant note. Steve back at sea, the Tarpon 2 gleaming, as news tickers report global insurance reforms inspired by his case. Laughter echoes over the waves, a reminder that one man's audacity can challenge the heavens.